This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Big betting day across the board as we welcome you into this Friday edition of Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network. Everybody in the NBA in action today. Everybody in Major League Basketball in action. Intriguing NHL slate. Oh, and by the way, we've got the Masters going on, so I may or may not have worn a green jacket on purpose. Welcome in, everybody. Stormy Buonantony with you live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Alongside today, Ariel Epstein out in the Big Apple. And I'm just going to give you full disclosure, Ariel. I know since we've got such a big NBA and MLB day, and these are two of your primary sports as a betting analyst, I'm going to let you just kind of like hold things down while I am rotated slowly to the sports book to watch the Masters. So just think, you're good, talk all you want, it's fine.
It's a big screen behind you. You can't miss it down there in Circa. I'm excited for the Masters too, but yeah, I'm not feeling like the last 2 days I've been doing shows with a lot of afternoon baseball. I was having meltdowns on shows because I was on like all these different games. It was already 3-4 o'clock. My day was ruined. I had a bad day 2 days ago. Bounced back well yesterday with Major League Baseball and the NBA. Stormy, at least the Masters and baseball, you could say, you've got everybody caring about what they're doing each day. In the NBA, really no one cares anymore. The playoffs are almost here. The entire Orlando Magic team is basically out tonight. So the NBA, meh, we'll wait until next week.
Okay, that's good to know because that is something, and we'll bring this up again a little bit later on in the show. I was curious, kind of strategically, if in the NBA this time of year, if it is just something like, let's hold off, let's not even mess with it, or if because of all of the data that you've had, there are still edges. And we'll get into a little bit of that later, like I said. But for now, let's fire up the rundown, everything we have to come over the course of the next 2 hours here on Money Moves.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
So we will update you on the second round of the Masters throughout. Shout out Bryson DeChambeau, by the way, who has been surging here early and had a sick bunker shot on 4 to get things going. Already 3 birdies through 6 holes to get things going to put him now in second as a standalone to Justin Rose, who is in the lead. And we will talk about how Justin Rose got there and how many players I liked have already crumbled. We also have a couple of great guests on tap today. VSiN's own Will Hill, VSiN Contributor, host of the Should Bet More podcast. We'll get some MLB best bets from him for the evening, as well as a couple NFL futures he's already looking at. Speaking of the NFL, Ariel, some news today that we're going to talk about in hour 2. Your boy, Joe Flacco. He's re-signed with the Browns today.
Yeah, another AFC North team for Joe Flacco to go to and continue to stay alive in his career. Fantastic.
We'll see how that ultimately plays out. Did win Comeback Player of the Year with the Browns, obviously, a couple years ago.
He's
last
elite.
year with the Colts. He's elite. Oh, was that not like the funnest sports talk radio conversation of all time? Is Joe Flacco elite? It'll never end.
Listen, if
It'll
you
be
make
there
as
forever.
much money as Joe Flacco got to make after re-signing with the Ravens after the Super Bowl, you're pretty elite in my eyes.
No doubt about it. The deal this time around, 1 year, $4 million with the option for it to be up to, I believe, 13 with incentives. So we'll talk about that more. Also coming up in hour 2, Mike Palm, VP of Operations here at Circa Resort and Casino, where I'm broadcasting from. See what he's fired up about this morning. Always enjoy those conversations. Got to give him some credit. He had a big UConn future in the women's basketball tournament. Haven't talked to him since that result came in. And I'm particularly excited to hear his reaction to the Brent Musburger news. For anybody who missed it, the 2025 Pete Rozelle Award at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is going to our guy, Brent, of course, the guy who made this network possible, and it is so overdue. And I don't know about you, Ariel, I'm just super excited that we're able to honor Brent in that way.
He's getting honored the way he should. Such an icon, not just in the betting space by creating VSiN, also in the football world. I'm really excited for him.
You are looking live, a phrase made famous, of course. We also got Mike Somich joining us later on. Talk a little bit of horse racing. Are you a horse racing person?
No, I've tried, but I never really got so into it. Of course, when you talk Triple Crown, then I get excited about it. But aside from that, I know that there's a lot of money to be made there, but It was never really my thing.
So that's how I am too. I bet the big ones, and we've obviously got the Kentucky Derby coming up in just a couple weeks. So Mike is going to help us kind of get set for some of the names that we should be aware of and some Derby prep races. The final big one coming up this Saturday. And last but certainly not least, hit me with your best prop. And when you've got the prop queen on the show, we've got to make sure that we have some of these marquee prop bets. If you haven't already, make sure you're following Prop Queen Sports on X. Check out the podcast and newsletter, some great information there. But really excited to get some of your favorite props coming up tonight.
Strikeout props, baby. That's where we're going. I love the strikeout prop market so much. It's actually the market that got me the prop queen name, Stormy.
Beautiful. All right, let's get into it for the day. So our betting day, at least yesterday on Money Moves, went pretty well. Grace Remington and I, 5-1, rebounded from what was an ugly Wednesday because I needed yesterday to go well, and it did.
I had an ugly Wednesday too.
Okay. Maybe it's just not our day of the week, Ariel. We should stop betting on Wednesdays and see what happens after that. But what was good about yesterday is we had like a handful of plus money plays that did well. So the Angels cashed as a plus 110 dog. We got the Red Sox money line, which wasn't, but obviously with the Devers prop we threw in there, over 1.5 total bases, plus 125. Pasta comes through for the Bruins, over 1.5 points. The Bruins only scored 2 goals, but David Pastrnak scored one of them and assisted on the other. So we were very grateful that that came through. We lost our Sabres, Blue Jackets over, but the Timberwolves came through on the money line. So overall, good day for the bets. Even better day if you were Justin Rose. So let's go back to the Masters. Fired a first round 7 under 65 yesterday, stealing the first round lead from the defending champion Scotty Scheffler. Rose cashed 66-1 as the first round leader. Entered today with this three-stroke lead over the rest of the field. Now just a 2-stroke lead at 1 under over DeChambeau, who we mentioned already is surging. But this is what I wanted to point out here, Ariel. Worth noting, and we talk about this a lot, like you can't win the Masters on day one, but you can lose it. And we'll talk about Rory and we'll talk about Colin Morikawa and some others. But yesterday is the 5th time that Justin Rose has led the tournament after round 1, most ever in the tournament. 8th time leading or co-leading any round at Augusta, most for any player who has yet to win it. He consistently gets out to great starts and can't finish the job. He said in his post-round interview yesterday, I feel like I've played well enough to win this tournament. I just don't have the green jacket to prove it. Ultimately, you want to be the last man standing. He was one of those pre-tournament bombs, 110-1, and not a lot of people were firing on it because he can't close. He's plus 750-ish, 7-1 right now on the live odds board. Plus 450 some books as well. So shop around if you want to get in live, but worth noting there.
Yeah, Justin Rose, the fact that he's currently the leader and the fact that he is the 3rd shortest odds behind Scotty Scheffler and Bryson DeChambeau should tell you all that you need to know. But there's still so much value on this live board, especially with someone like a Rory McIlroy who can have a better last couple of days at the Masters. So I would be looking a little bit down the board too at like a 14 or 16-1 on Rory. But Bryson DeChambeau was a name that was so intriguing that was pretty deep down the list. When I was looking at the odds, I was like, where is Bryson? Like, why is he not up there at the top pre-Masters? And now you're looking at him at plus 360 right behind Scotty. So again, Scotty Scheffler, Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy out of the top 5. At least you know those guys can finish, unlike Justin Rose.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with DeChambeau, I think there was a lot of that hesitation just because he isn't on tour like everybody else anymore, and he does the YouTube stuff. And so there's a lot of questions about kind of the mentality coming in, but obviously your boy is dialed at this point. As for Rory McIlroy, had all the momentum in the world for more than half of the day, was 4 under through 14, has this perfect drive on 15. And all you got to do is close out the round, right? Double bogeys twice in the final 4 holes of this thing. And this is what, unfortunately, kind of what we've come to expect from Rory is he digs himself into a hole and gets close, finds a way to get back to the top of the leaderboard, but doesn't close the job either. And I thought this was his year. And I do like the idea of pouncing on now what is a much better number. I bet him 7-1 pre-flop for the tournament, but now 16-1 on the live board right now, 12-1 entering today. This has been an issue for him at Augusta. In his past 7 starts at the Masters, he's been in this situation, didn't talk to media after the round. I don't know. I really feel for him because he was in such good form coming into this week, and he felt so mentally prepared. All of the conversations that he had seemed like he was ready, had a blast at the par 3 contest, and then ends his first round that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's only day 2, and this is what is tough with golf because you get so ahead of yourself with what happened yesterday. You almost have to leave it behind. Now, of course, it does matter, but Rory does have the multiple PGA Tour wins this year, Pebble Beach, Players Championship. It wasn't pretty, but I mean, he's been playing really well, and you're getting him at a discount, Rory.
Yeah.
So after what happened yesterday, you're getting that number, Stormy. I really don't mind for essentially the number 2 in this tournament.
Yeah. One other thing that I did find interesting, and I didn't know this honestly coming in, and shame on me, but historically, round 1 top 11 is extremely important. Last 19 Masters winners and 72 of 88 all time were inside the top 11 after the opening round. To find an outlier, you got to go back to 05 when Tiger came back from tied for 33rd to win it all in a playoff. Top 10 coming into today: Justin Rose, Corey Connors, Scotty Scheffler, Ludwig Oberg, Tyrell Hatton, Bryson DeChambeau, Aaron Rai, Harris English, Jason Day, Akshay Bhatia, and then a 16-way tie for 11th at 1 under, 6 former champions among that mix. So a lot of people potentially in contention, at least based on those numbers. And then you mentioned Rory. We talk about guys like Colin Morikawa, who certainly have the talent to work their way back into this thing. But among those players in the 16-way tie, 65-year-old Fred Couples. And I love it for him. The old guy still got it, Ariel.
I love that. What a great feel-good story for the old guy. I mean, maybe he could... Never mind, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'll tell you off air.
Tell me in commercial break, because now I'm intrigued. We'll see if it's safe enough for air or not. We're going to take our first time out of the day. I love that for us. We're just getting started here on Money Moves, though. So much more to come. After this quick timeout, we're going to get into the MLB slate for today. All 30 teams in action. You won't want to miss it.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All 30 teams in Major League Baseball in action today, yet nothing on the day slate, which I find criminal as somebody who is on air during this time and likes having day sweats. It's just kind of cruel, but neither here nor there. Stormy Buonantony and Ariel Epstein with you. The prop queen herself. Baseball, one of the marquee sports that you dive in on. You mentioned it in the first block of the show that, you know, doing those strikeout props is basically what got you your name and how this persona got created. So before we get into the slate today, because we obviously have a ton of games, a lot of interesting action available, I am curious, this season so far, have there been any Cape prop trends that you have caught on to early? I know it's hard with so few starts and the small sample size, or things from years past that you carry into this year. How do you approach it?
This year, it's very surprising. The craziest one so far is the Chicago Cubs. Righty starters are 1 in 10 over under their strikeout prop against the Cubs this year. Overall, only 2 of the 15 starters to face the Cubs have gone over their strikeout prop against Chicago. So that's something to keep in mind when you bet the Cubs. Right now, it's really an under or nothing for me. There's also some other teams that have made big flips from last year. The Houston Astros, for example, they're a team that last year, one of the lowest strikeout rates in baseball, and this year, they have one of the highest. In fact, 8 of the 12 starting pitchers against the Astros this year have gone over their strikeout prop against Houston. And then the Athletics are a team that I don't think the books have caught on to yet. And I'm going to talk about that in our prop segment a bit. The Athletics last year struck out a lot. Yeah, people think that wins and losses are correlated to strikeouts. They're not. But last year, the Athletics did strike out a lot. And this year, righty starters, 9 of the 12 of them have gone under their strikeout prop against the Athletics. So something to keep in mind is the Cubs unders, Athletics unders, Houston's overs, all these teams that you probably wouldn't expect. They're kind of doing the opposite of what people would think.
Interesting. So speaking to that A's game today, so A's and Mets going head to head, JP Spears and Griffin Canning. This one, the A's plus 114 home dog, run total 9.5. We know the totals in that ballpark have all been high with the dimensions of the park, the conditions, all of that stuff. But I was actually looking at JP Spears' strikeout prop under 4.5, and it is juiced a little bit, -140 I saw, which isn't very fun. And I know some people might look at his prop and say, well, he had 7 strikeouts in a game already this season against the Mariners, but they're a heavy strikeout team, so I didn't really put much stock in that, and had just 2 strikeouts against the Rockies. Mets are one of the best teams in the league avoiding strikeouts. And so I felt like 4.5 just might be a little bit high. Even the Mets series against Miami, they had at most 5 strikeouts for the entire game and not a single starter got to 5. So I am not a strikeout props person. I'm quite frankly not much of a baseball props person. So I am relying on your expertise here, but am I crazy for liking that?
No, not at all. That's why it is juiced to the under around -145. The Mets only faced 1 lefty so far this year, and that was Framber Valdez. He had 4 strikeouts in 7 innings. Valdez is a much better pitcher than JP Sears. So for Sears to go under, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, he has had experience with, I think, 1 other start this year in this park, but it is something to note that the overs in this park have been hitting at a crazy rate. I mean, just looking, the Athletics 5-1 to the over. The books finally caught on a little bit because we saw a lot of 8s and 8.5s, and now they finally boosted it up to 9.5. So not so much for the home team like Sears, where I think matchup-wise you're right in liking his under. But when any pitcher is coming in now to this park for the first time, most of them have never pitched there before. If they have, it's their minor league career, not their major league career. For the ball to be flying out like it has been, any away pitcher, I'm also very keen to their unders, just because you wonder if they stay in long enough.
Yeah, no question about it. You mentioned the 5-1 to the game over, also 5-1 the first 5 over in those games. It's been, I think,
Crazy.
7 plus runs scored in the 5th inning or earlier. So it's been sailing for sure. One game that I know you did have interest in today is the Red Sox and White Sox, and Davis Martin and the White Sox, rough start for them, as you know, expected after what we saw from them last year. They are a +136 dog on DraftKings right now. Sean Newcomb starting out on the hill for the Red Sox, -162 favorites. Run total there sitting 8. What stood out to you here?
I call this a fishy line. So the line, it's reverse line movement. The line moved about 10 cents against the Red Sox, despite the public being on Boston. And it's like at DraftKings, over 90% bets and money coming in on the Red Sox, and line moved 10 cents against them. So you wonder, right? Like, how well is the lefty Sean Newcomb going to do on the road against the White Sox? You've got, let me see what the White Sox are. At home, 2-4. The Red Sox this year on the road are, they're 3-4 on the road. So everyone's really high on the Red Sox this year, and I just haven't been like overly high on them. And plus on the road, Sean Newcomb, his ERA last year, and granted, I think he only threw in like a few games last season, but on the road, he had 3 appearances on the road, and he had an ERA just above 11 last year. He was also more of a reliever. He only really threw 1 to 2 innings. So to get deep and nonetheless on the road, I may not trust him. And I should be looking at the bullpen usage too. It's something that I think is important for betting MLB teams and money lines, because if you look at the bullpens, Boston, they also played yesterday, and the White Sox, they played yesterday, but their reliever Bryce Wilson only threw 19 pitches. Mike Clevenger threw 6. Like, everyone kind of had a day off yesterday out of their bullpen. The Red Sox, they threw a lot of arms yesterday, so that's another disadvantage for a pitcher that doesn't really go deep. The Red Sox used a bunch of bullpen arms yesterday, so the White Sox might be advantage bullpen as well.
Okay. I feel bad for the White Sox. They 2-2 to start the year. You know, maybe things.
Did you
are
see how
looking
they
up a little
lost
bit.
the other day on Wednesday?
Dagger. Poor guy. Talkman's rounding third.
That was how I felt
oh
my
God.
whole day was on Wednesday. That's like, I opened up my show on my Prop Queen pod. I opened it yesterday with that video and said, if you want to know how my betting day felt, this was it. Because I lost the Athletics money line and the Braves money line in the 9th inning on Wednesday by a run. So yeah, you get close. You might have like got the game winning. You might have had the walk-off hit, but the runner just couldn't score. It's
the frustration too, like especially for us as bettors, because you you can't even feel good about the handicap sometimes, even though, like, you write your little notes as you have your spreadsheet and kind of, at least I do, write at times why I lost, if it's a bad beat or not, and that kind of stuff. And it hurts when you're going through your spreadsheet and you see shoulda won. Like, your bankroll doesn't make you feel any better, no matter how right the handicap felt.
It was funny because my friend Major Matt and I, we do our strikeout prop spreadsheet. So we monitor for the last 5 or 6 years every strikeout prop, how each lineup does against them, the over-unders, etc. So Tyler Mahle on Wednesday had a strikeout prop of 4.5. And I was like, why is the over minus 150? Like, this makes no sense. He should be going under in this matchup. I'm trying to remember now who they were playing, but I was like, he should go under. And I'm watching this game, and in his last couple batters, Mahle had so many close calls in the strike zone that he probably should have gone over, but the ump just didn't call the strikes. He ends up going under like I thought he would, but I'm glad I didn't bet it, because on strikeout props, it's not just about can he make contact, because there's no contact to be made. It's can the umpire give you the call?
Yeah. Oh, and again, that is what being a sports bettor is. Just the constant sweat, human intervention in a lot of these instances. Real quick, we've got about 90 seconds left in this segment. Another game you were looking at. And maybe this is why you're really more hesitant on the Red Sox. It's because you're a Yankees gal. And New York is facing the Giants today. Minus 130 home favorite with Marcus Stroman on the hill. Giants plus 110, run total there 8.
This one intrigues me because the Yankees being favored at home is not a surprise, but the Yankees being favored with Marcus Stroman is somewhat of a surprise. He has been erratic. And then you got Robbie Ray, who's coming off season-ending Tommy John surgery. He's finally back, and he's a lefty. The Yankees do pretty well against lefties. Last year they struggled a little bit, but I want to get the updated numbers, but the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, they had the day off yesterday. San Francisco has to travel west to east. We saw what west to east has done to a lot of teams. You just look at, and I want to see where they were before, but the Dodgers, they were playing at home. Yeah. So they had to travel west to east. The Dodgers, when they went to Philly, they're a team that really wasn't striking out much in LA. They were doing well. Hot, obviously, it's the Dodgers. They went to Philly, and they struggled. So west to east, according to athletes, is one of the toughest trips. So for the first game, I would not be backing the Giants and Robbie Ray.
I know just personally, as somebody who lives on the West Coast and travels out east a lot for work, it is not my favorite thing, so I can relate there. And reminder, everybody, Ariel mentioned some bet splits earlier in this segment. We have our exclusive betting splits for you, DraftKings and Circa Sportsbook, available for VSiN Pro subscribers each and every day at VSiN.com/subscribe. Our summer special right now, $59 for all of our content now through August 1st. That gets you splits, picks, articles, so much more. VSiN.com/subscribe.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We're rolling along here on this Friday edition of Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network, Sirius XM channel 158, alongside Ariel, Epstein, Stormy, Buonantony with you as we now welcome into Money Moves our good friend Will Hill on the Progressive Guest Line, host of the Shoulda Bet More podcast. You can also catch him on the Bear Bets pod with Chris the Bear Felica, the Fox Sports Podcast Network. What's going on, Will? And I see that you are repping some vintage Lombardi line wear, which I love. What's going on?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a collector's item one day. The what do you call it? I guess I don't know. What's the word when somebody passed away? It's in memoriam, I guess. So yeah, a nice little 3/4 zip. So it was good to get some swag before the show went the way of North Carolina, I guess.
Ariel, you should tell me, should I be offended that as the host of that show for 2 years, I don't have Lombardi line swag? Like, I thought Michael liked me.
How do you not
Yes,
have
I'll answer it for you,
swag?
Ariel. Yes, and yes.
How do you not have swag? That makes no sense.
I don't know. I thought I was left. I did get a signed book from Michael, though, so that's good. He actually, can I say, I want to give Michael credit. He is the sweetest man in the world. When he got the gig at North Carolina, he sent out a bunch of handwritten thank you notes for your time with each other and his excitement for his new thing. And I got one, and I was like, Michael, what a guy. On that note,
You're
no
like
swag
Drew
for
Brees
me.
giving everybody his football.
Yeah.
Exactly, precisely. So no swag for me, but since you have swag, I know you also have bets, and that's what we came here for, Will. So let's dive right in. Lots of stuff on the sports calendar today: MLB, NBA, NHL. I know you have some stuff in Major League Baseball today. What is your favorite wager on the board?
Yeah, a game I'm looking at, Cleveland and Kansas City here. Two pitchers I really like. Bibby's one of my favorite pitchers to bet on. He gets soft contact. He can win in the zone. He's just got really good stuff. I think he is underrated. And going for Kansas City, somebody who's pitched really well is starting to come onto the scene, Chris Bubich, who through 2 starts has not allowed much weak contact, not walking guys, getting swings and misses in the zone, out of the zone. So to me, I was going to play the under first 5 because, the more I think about it and talk about it, that's I think we're looking at a low scoring beginning to this game. The problem is it moved from 4 to 3.5, and these half runs in first 5s are just so valuable. I want my money back if it's 2-2 or 3-1. I don't want to lose on 4, so it's at 3.5 now. I wouldn't play it, but I will take Kansas City plus a half a run in the first 5. Like I mentioned, these half runs are very valuable in the first 5, and something I did on Thursday, and I got to start doing it more. I bet 3 first 5s. I won on all of them. They were all tied after 5. It was Kansas City. Milwaukee and Colorado was 1-1. Atlanta, Philly was 1-1. And there was another game, Boston, Toronto, scoreless. So especially when you have these low totals and pitchers you like, these half runs are really worth a lot. And it's not like you have to sweat out the full game and then go to extra innings or whatever. To be able to win on the tie, I think is extremely valuable when you got pitchers you like. So I will take Kansas City plus a half a run in the first 5. Kind of like $1.30, $1.35. To me, that's okay. I think this is 1-1 after 5, 2-2 after 5. Happy to take the half a run.
Chris Bubich has come a long way. I used to fade him about 2021 whenever he was on the road. I was betting team total overs against him, but Bubich has come a long way there. And one place that I remember fading him was in Fenway. I remember it was a 20-run game by the Boston Red Sox, and I ended up cashing that team total over. And you are high on the Red Sox this year in 2025. How much do you like them in the futures market still?
I like them. I think if you do like them, now is the time, because sometimes with this stuff, it's not just what you bet, it's when you bet it. 7 of their next 10 games are against the White Sox. So if you like them, now is the time to jump in. Plus 300 at FanDuel, plus 290 at DraftKings. I just think that price, you're going to look, we'll talk 2 weeks from now, and that price will be, maybe 2-1, maybe less, because let's face it, for all the talk of the White Sox, the first couple of days of the season, I think they were 1-0 and 2-1. And a lot of people say, but this team's not that bad. They're much improved. Guess what? They're not. Spoiler alert. They're not much improved. I don't think they've won a game since. They're sitting here at 2-9 or 2-10. They've been awful. They've lost 8 in a row. So I think Boston gets fat and probably wins like 6 of those 7 games, maybe. I don't think that's a stretch. And I know they got Tampa in between. So I think this is a time where Boston can take off. This is just the right time to bet them. And look, as a Yankee fan, Ariel, I know you're a Yankee fan too. This Yankee team is just not it. The pitchers they send to the mound every day. Stroman going tonight. Will Warren, Carlos Carrasco. Fried will be fine. Rodon is completely hit or miss. And you give him a break because 60% of the rotation's on the IL with Luis Gil and Schmidt and Cole. But, no stand. The lineup, we haven't heard too much about these torpedo bats in the last couple of days, in the last couple of weeks, since that was the story of the first weekend. I know. I just think the Yankees as a favorite are extremely flawed. Baltimore's pitching is a mess. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Boston wins this division. So I think 3-1 is about as good a price as you're going to see this season.
Yeah, it is funny how those things work, right? It's the biggest thing in baseball. Now, all of a sudden, people are very quiet about it. VSiN's own Will Hill joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line, betting analyst, host of the Should Have Bet More podcast. I was joking with Ariel earlier that I'm going to be very distracted throughout the course of the show, and quite frankly have been, with the Masters on every TV around me right now. How are you invested in the Masters? Did you bet anything live after round 1 or coming into today? Like, how do you feel about the way things are shaking out so far?
This morning, I bet Justin Rose to be the leader after round 2. I'm looking at it now. Minus 125. I think that's good. He's got a 3-shot lead over DeChambeau. I just think if you look at the weather, they were saying on the telecast, 22 to 27 mile an hour winds, just some shaky weather. I think with the shaky weather and these players playing in the afternoon, I think that favors the morning players. When you have a 3-shot lead, considering the winds the rest of the day, I think that's going to be very hard to catch. I know people are saying, wow, you got to lay minus money odds on for a second round leader when all these different people can win. I understand that, but I think it's still a good bet. And a lot of these books, I know DraftKings is offering a lot of boosts for the Masters, whole boosts. If you want to play individual holes, leader after round one. They're giving out daily boosts. They want the action. They want people betting on this stuff, and they know people are interested. So I think even at minus 125, I think that's a good number. So Rose to lead after round two, I think is a good one.
The NFL draft is coming up quickly, Will. April 24th is when the NFL draft is going to take place. What team would you say you're trying to get in on before maybe odds change after the draft?
Yeah, for some reason, the draft is really sneaking up on me, at least. I don't know if it's because there's just not a lot of quarterbacks. There's not a lot of buzz. We all assume Ward's going first for whatever reason. It's been a little bit more discussed the last week or so, especially with college basketball winding down. But to me, it's really snuck up. And I don't have as many bets in the draft as I usually do this time of year, which it's not a bad thing because sometimes you're just trying to find the information and sweat it out and hope you're reading the information correctly. But a few teams I like, I'll start with New England at 8.5. I've talked about this on other shows. I don't understand how we're projecting this for a 9-win team. I understand Vrabel is an upgrade probably over Mayo. People are excited about Drake May. I get that. But if you look at Vrabel's last 4 seasons with the Titans, it's a lot of one and done in the playoffs. In the last 2 years, he missed the playoffs before he got fired. For this team, they had 4 wins last year. They were outscored by 125 points. For them to jump to 9, I think is just a bridge too far. So I like the under with New England.
Also looking at some of these win totals that you're targeting going into the year, I know a lot of people have been out on San Francisco after the way that this past year transpired. They're going to have to pay Brock Purdy, and what does that look like for the roster? They offloaded so much talent. You are looking at their over wins. What do you like about this team?
Yeah, that was one. As soon as the Super Bowl ended that night, I think February 9th, between the Chiefs and the Eagles, the odds opened up, and the one team that jumped out to me was really San Francisco because you could make a case that their window is closed. They played in all these Super Bowls and NFC championship games, and they missed their window. That's possible. But would you be shocked if they turn around and win 12, 13 games next year? And I know that no more Deebo Samuel, but these skill guys are really interchangeable. They've got Purdy. They've got a coach. They've still got a lot of talent. And I just think they bounce back. And I got Aaron Schatz on my podcast that came out today, and he said they are a perfect candidate for positive regression because all of the things that went poorly for them usually correct. Turnovers, penalties, injuries, bad special teams play, an easy schedule. Their schedule is projected to be the easiest in the league according to their numbers. So that kind of gave me the nudge to go over 10.5. I would love like a flat 10. I'd love to be able to push on 10 and get my money back. And as we get closer to the season, I'm sure we'll get more options where you could play over 9.5 and lay more juice. 10.5 is plus money, that kind of thing. But I just think directionally, I do think with the coach, the quarterback, the schedule, everything that went wrong last year, there's probably a correction coming, and I do like the over here.
Well, you're awesome as always.
I know. I was going to say, we are running out of time, right?
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry, Will, but we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And dressed for success. Will Hill, everybody, follow him on X at @NotTheWillHill. And again, make sure you download, subscribe the Shoulda Bet More podcast, as well as Chris the Bear Felica. He joins them on the gambling group chat, Bear Bets podcast. Also, a good reminder right now at VSiN, we've got so much going on in the sports world. Full slates of MLB and NBA today, as I mentioned, but the NBA postseason, NHL playoffs upon us. All things Masters throughout the weekend. If you want info on how to bet all of this stuff, right now at VSiN.com, we've got articles up on all of it. Also, Lou Finocchiaro's UFC 314 picks. Steve Makinen's got analytics reports. Zach Cohen, Adam Burke breaking things down each and every day. If you go to VSiN.com/subscribe right now, you can sign up for our summer special. Just $59 for full VSiN Pro access through August 1st. We've got to take a quick timeout, but when we come back, let me warm up the pipes here. Hit me with your best prop. Get ready. You're not going to want to miss it. Good. Ariel Epstein's about to fire away. Don't go anywhere.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
When you co-host a show with someone who goes by the prop queen moniker, you got to get into some props as we welcome you back into Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network. The prop queen, Ariel Epstein. I'm Stormy Buonantony, and I'm so excited for this segment. Hit me with your best prop. And we're going to go back
and this time.
I think that I have made our audience's ears bleed enough with what I did going into the commercial break. So I reined it in, being a professional, Ariel. Thank you. But for this, we're going to go back and forth with a handful of props. I'll just let our audience know now. Trust Ariel's advice. Probably, take mine with a grain of salt because I'm not a big prop bettor, but we're trying. And that is what it's all about. So hit me with your best prop, Ariel. Your favorite prop on the card today. What stood out to you?
Eduardo Rodriguez, the Diamondback starter, over 5.5 strikeouts. Great value play around plus 110. It's a left-hander, and last year averaged just under 8 strikeouts per start against strikeout-prone lineups. This season, he struck out 12 Nationals, they've struck out a bunch this year to start the season. He had 5 against the Cubs, who I mentioned in an earlier segment. Only one starter has gone over against the Cubs this year. But Eduardo Rodriguez to have 5 against them is a pretty good number. The Brewers are averaging just over 6 strikeouts a game against lefty starters. 4 of the 6 have gone over their strikeout prop against the Brewers. I would take a shot at plus 110 at Eduardo Rodriguez to go over 5.5K, Stormy.
Can we also talk about how on cue that was that you would take a shot and hit me with your best shot? Come on, guys. No? All right. See, this is what happened. I don't get audience reaction. We need
that was unintentional, but it was pretty good.
Okay, I'm trying my hand at a baseball prop, and it may or may not be because I cashed on this same prop earlier this week in Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases. Plus 110, the prop today against the Giants. My rationale today, his success against Giants pitcher Robbie Ray here. The numbers have been good in 8 at-bats against Ray. He's hitting .375, OPS over 2,000, and 3 homers. Giants do have a really good bullpen, I know, but even if he doesn't get to Ray, I don't think that necessarily scares me just because of the start, quite frankly, that Aaron Judge has had this year. He's hitting over 350, 6 home runs over the last 10 games, averaging 2.2 total bases per game. So plus money on the over 1.5 total bases. Prayers up for your girl, but that's my favorite prop of the day.
I like it. I think you did that for me. So I appreciate it.
I wanted to support the Yankees cause. Okay, what do you have next?
Oh, they need support. Detroit starter Reese Olson under 5.5 strikeouts. Reese Olson's not a reliable strikeout pitcher. He's punched out 5 batters in both his starts this year, but that was against the Dodgers and the White Sox. Both teams are striking out much more than the Twins. The Twins are starting this year averaging just under 4 strikeouts a game. Right-handers, 3 and 8 over under their strikeout prop against the Twins this year. Olson last year, he went over 5.5 Ks once in 6 starts against low K rate teams. So only one time against low K rate teams did Reese Olson have 6 strikeouts. He shouldn't this year against the Twins. He struck out 4 and 5 innings last season against Minnesota. So I would lean to the under there on 5.5 Ks for Reese Olson.
Okay, I'm about it. I'm going to go to the NHL with my next one. And you know how I mentioned earlier on the show, or actually maybe that was in a commercial break. It was, apologies. It was in a commercial break with you. I mentioned how I bet against the Oilers the other day because I thought Connor McDavid wasn't going to play. It's a depleted Edmonton Oilers team, especially offensively right now. Well, McDavid did play. He had 3 assists in that game. I'm taking his shots on goal today back in the lineup. Had a 3-assist day, like I mentioned, but 0 shots on goal in that win against the Blues. And I was even looking at his game log prior to the injury, wasn't logging a ton of shots. 1 against the Isles, 1 against the Rangers, none against the Jets. But you know what he did have against a bad team in the Utah Hockey Club? 4. The 8 games prior to that stretch, you know what he did have? 2+ shots on goal in all 8 of them prior to that stretch. You're taking on an abysmal San Jose Sharks team that does not play defense, that has no motivation to play hard. I feel like even if he's not trying, he's going to get 3 shots on goal in this game. So give me Connor McDavid over 2.5. It is juiced, and I know that's no fun. Minus 140. You got to bet 140 to win back that 100. But I feel fairly confident that Connor McDavid is going to handle business pretty easily today at home against San Jose. All right, what's your last one?
I've also got one a little juice there at minus 135. Met starter Griffin Canning to go under his 4.5 strikeout prop. I'm not so sure if the books, and I've mentioned this earlier, if the books have really caught on to the Athletics. Last season, they struck out just under 6 times a game against righties. Well, this year, they're only striking out about 4 times a game against righties, so that's a 2 strikeout difference. It worries me a little bit that Canning had 6 against Toronto in his first start of the year, but that game was at home. He's on the road, and dating back to last year, he averaged about 3 strikeouts a game on the road against low K rate teams. The Athletics, right now I'm considering them a low K rate team. He should not get 5 strikeouts in this spot on the road at this park, canning under 4.5 strikeouts tonight, Stormy.
He's a real tough cookie with a long history of breaking little. All right, I'm cut off. That was fun. Love, hit me with your best prop. Reminder, everybody, Edge Boost, the first ever bank account built for us as bettors. No usage fees, no minimums. You earn cash back rewards. Any and all gambling transactions are approved. 100% approval for all betting deposits when you sign up today at edgeboost.bet and use our promo code MONEY. You deposit $25. Edge Boost is going to match that deposit for you. Head over to edgeboost.bet today. And again, use that promo code money. Sorry that I am a hot mess of a human being, Ariel, but you'll get used to it the more we do shows like together.
I feel like the hot mess today.
Well, you know what is a hot mess? The National Basketball Association, when it comes to these final days of the regular season, who's in and out of the lineup, who knows, who's motivated, who cares, who knows? It's chaotic. And I know I have a couple strategic and schematic things that stand out to me about the NHL, but I'm curious from your perspective in the NBA, how much work does go into handicapping these games the last final days of the season? Or is it more of a hands-off approach to you? Are you able to find value, or are you just like, no, thank you, let me get away from the NBA until the playoffs?
There's definitely value. I found it last night because there was one meaningful game. It was Minnesota and Memphis. So if you could find the meaningful games, you can handicap it the normal way. Last night, we saw Anthony Edwards go off for 44 points. He went way over his prop, which I saw go from 28.5 to 29.5 yesterday. On the road against bad defenses, Edwards does even better. He averages 30 points a game. Memphis has been a bottom 10 defense all season, allowing the 8th most points per game to their opponents. So seeing the matchup looking good for Edwards last night in a meaningful spot, I said, okay, Edwards, I hate betting overs of 28, 29.5, but he definitely had the chance to, and he had 44. I also really liked rebounds because yesterday, I know it was like a random name, but Jaden McDaniels, I saw his rebound prop was only 3.5. He averages 5.5 rebounds a game against bottom 10 defenses. He takes a more defensive approach than he does offensive, while everyone else on his team does well against bad defenses offensively. So I found those edges in a meaningful game. Then you also could look at some other teams, Stormy, that are just mailing it in. And you have to consider, are there young players on the other side trying to prove themselves? That's also where you could figure things out. It's almost like spring training in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so I wonder too, so we talk about motivation, that can be one-sided. And I was looking at the Lakers-Rockets spread today, and I feel like that spread is very evidenced of that, right? Like the Lakers very much so still care, want to make sure they're cementing their spot in the 3 seed. The Rockets already know that they're the 2, but the Lakers have a 1-game lead over a whole host of teams that are chasing them right now. This spread has just continued to go up, double digits right now, total 225, but I mean, I'm not laying it with the Lakers today, but I feel like that's the more likely outcome with the Rockets sitting a bunch of guys because they don't need it.
Right. It's just hard to lay 10 in a game where if the Lakers know they're up, they don't care if they win by 10. They just want to win the game. So that's why the laying the points is tough. There is one trend that's great, though, for a team that doesn't care. The Phoenix Suns. So opponents' team total overs are 16-2 without Kevin Durant this season. The last 8 games, Phoenix is allowing just under 129 points a game. Phoenix allowed 122 or more in 7 of the last 8 without KD. The Suns' defense has been the worst in the league in the last 8 games. The defense has been bad all season without Kevin Durant. The last 5 games, the Suns have been in dead last defending the corner 3, and the Spurs have been the best at shooting it. So you can go and look at the team total over for the San Antonio Spurs tonight.
Ooh, I'm about that. Plus 5.5, by the way, road dog in that spot for San Antonio, plus 170 on the money line if you think that they can get the outright upset, total 232.5. But the Suns are a brutal watch as of late. My
friend just texted me. He goes, 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
There we go. Yes. That's what everybody in that spot is thinking right now. Just Let's go to vacation. Season's over. Okay, we are going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to reset for hour 2. We'll get you updated on all of the ongoings from Augusta National in the Masters, where things sit on the leaderboard right now. Also, one deal that was signed to pen to paper in the NFL earlier this morning with a quarterback, what that might mean for the Cleveland Browns in the draft. Don't go anywhere. We are just getting started here. Hour 2 of Money Moves coming up after this.